Spiked Online Editor Tom Slater is with me now. Tom, tell me how you described him in your latest piece. It certainly wasn't in glowing terms.
No, absolutely not. I mean, this is a prime minister who believes in nothing and has achieved nothing. I think he's shown over the course of this year, which really feels like 10, it's been that painful, that, running the proverbial whelk stall will probably be beyond his ken. It really has gone tremendously badly, tremendously quickly. And I think it's just a complete repudiation of all the people who said when this government came in, replacing the Tories, supposedly that kind of Brexity populist blip was over. We were going back to politics as usual. Well, it turns out politics as usual is useless, and he's breaking records for unpopularity at this point. He really could go down in history. I don't think it's hyperbole to say it as one of the most disastrous elected prime ministers we've ever had, just because of how quickly it has unravelled.
Oh, it's been quite extraordinary. I mean, and the bloke's had more flip-flops than Bondi Beach. I mean, the immigration stuff, he turns around and he's basically just copying reform. He sees what is coming to eat him and he goes, I must be that. But the problem with pretending to be things you aren't, and it's the same when you work in media like we do, I mean, the viewers can sniff out at 10 paces if you're not sincere. And voters can tell when a polly's not being sincere too.
No, absolutely. And that was one of the most humiliating U-turns recently. He gave this big set-piece speech on immigration where he said if we continue down this road of high immigration, low integration, we're going to become an island of strangers. All the usual suspects got very upset by this. There was a lot of ostentatious offence taking. And in recent interviews, he said that he regrets it, that he didn't read the speech beforehand, threw his speechwriters under the bus. And I think what we've seen with Keir Starmer is this is a man whose only consistent political view has been that he would quite like to be prime minister. Now he's like the dog that caught the car. He doesn't know what to do with it. And I think that's why we're seeing it all just become such a mess so quickly.
Now, the Chancellor, Rachel Reeves, she has been emotional in the Commons. Starmer was repeatedly asked whether he would support her. She's visibly tearing up. What's going on?
I mean, the backstory here is a little bit confusing. There's a lot of speculation in the press that this might have come after an argument with the Speaker of the House of Commons, perhaps an argument with the Deputy Leader of the Labour Party, Angela Rayner. There's also some reference to some kind of unknown personal issue that she's going through. But at the same time, I don't think it's unfair or callous. Of course, we all have our human moments. But this is another sign that they're just not up to it. They are cracking under the pressure. And it's, whilst on the one hand, your heart goes out to it to a certain extent, this is why you expect a high calibre of resilience from your politicians, because when the going gets tough, they do have to face it down. And both her and Starmer seem incapable of doing that.
That's it. We've been on a musical theme tonight. There you go, Billy Ocean. When the going gets tough, the tough get going. Some breaking news tonight. Star Liverpool forward Diogo Jota has reportedly died in a horror car crash along with his brother in Spain. 28 years old. He only got married last week, Tom.
It's absolutely tragic, awful news coming out of Spain. I mean, Diogo Jota, he was riding high. I mean, he had not only just got married to his childhood sweetheart a couple of weeks ago, he just won the Premier League with Liverpool. It just shows how cruel fate can be sometimes, and your heart just goes out to his wife and his 3 young kids who are now going to have to pick up the pieces after this horrendous tragedy.
Indeed, just terrible. And before we go, I can't let you go without asking about, of course, the Glastonbury business this week. I'm sure it's been big over there as it has been in the rest of the world, but there are calls for the BBC boss Tim Davie to step down after he let the whole thing go to air, live streamed in full. Should he go?
I think his position is fast becoming untenable. He was at Glastonbury when those blood-curdling, Jew-baiting chants were sounding out. He tried to intervene, but they didn't pull the live feed. They pulled it down from iPlayer, but by that point, the damage had already been done. This was being beamed into millions of people's homes. And it's not the first time something like this has happened. The BBC has had one scandal after another. It seems to be institutionally blind, at the very least, towards anti-Semitism and the kind of hatred we've seen expressed. I think my only kind of concern or caveat is that this is clearly not necessarily from Tim Davie. There's a broader problem, is that kind of Israelophobia, anti-Israel prejudice is the water that people at the BBC swim in, and that's a big problem to try and tackle.
Tom, thank you for joining me tonight.